Thank you all for joining here today. Right, so we've gone through a decade. I think a lot of people will agree. We've gone through a whole decade of digital transformation. And maybe one can dare say that real estate ends up being one of the last adopters of tech, right? Whether it is CRM, whether it is actually lead generation, whether it is AI, we all take our time to make sure that we're trying to make the best choice. But yet, as marketeers and as AdTech professionals, you'll realize that a lot of us don't always do all the right things all of the time. So let me start with brand awareness, right? So I think we all agree, and everybody in the audience will agree, that every organization that exists need to spend time, effort, and money behind creating a brand story, making sure that the consumer set of today and tomorrow understand that we are a provider of real estate products for your today and for your tomorrow. So I'll start with Neeta. Brand awareness, like I said, is pretty essential. So what are some of the strategies that you use to implement in your branding? And if additionally you could ask AdTech proponents a wish list, what would that wish list be?
I would actually, when we were discussing, I would slightly move ahead from the tech bit. I think let's talk about the basics of marketing. We actually, marketers, especially in real estate, are running for quick wins. We have forgotten the actual purpose of our existence. That is value creation, right? Yes, we run behind our targets, we have to achieve the revenue, but brand building is something that has been ignored, especially in real estate, because of budgets, because of the board meetings, because we are, important contributors in top of the funnel. I'm saying there has to be an allocation of budget in your short-term strategies as well as long-term strategies. And Raymond is a very, very powerful brand. Very few brands enjoy the legacy, 100-year-old legacy, and we are one of them. And Raymond Realty also lives to its promise. So apart from the typical brand building activities like we all do, we also do that, but there's something very different that we do, that is EGC, employee generated content. Now, I don't see that happening in real estate. It has worked for us, wonderfully during our launches. We did a home fest property and it worked wonders for us. Until and unless your people are not excited about what you're doing, आप outsiders को कैसे excite कर पाओगे? So we have a very robust internal marketing strategy. We give special attention to what we do, what are we going to go out and do in the market. We excite them. I mean, it works better than the boosting budgets that are given to us. So EGC is something that we believe in and we constantly do that. Second important thing is invest in meaningful experiences, whether it's a channel partner interaction or customer interaction. It's just not a tick mark activity for us. We invest time, we invest money, and we ensure that we give the best of experiences to them. We recently did a showstopper activity for our channel partners, and it was not just a certificate de diya or felicitate kar diya. No, we made them walk on the ramp with professional models, and they really felt great about it. That emotion was something which was priceless. So that's something that we do. And in terms of your second question, I think there was one thing which was always there in my wish list. If I can have a conversation to data converter. So there is no replacement of verbal conversations, right? So imagine sales वाला बैठा है client के साथ walk-in में, और एक ऐसा AI tool हो जो भी वो interaction कर रहा है, that gets converted into organized data and sits into a CRM tool. So I'm not at the mercy of the sales guy कि उसका mood है कि नहीं, उसने उसका rating क्या दिया है, So if I can have that kind of a tool that automatically converts that data into customer insights, I think that is the best solution we marketers can have. So that's from my end.
Thank you, Neeta. After we agree that branding is important now, it's one of the key ways to do branding is PR and corporate communications, right? And they become very, very essential tools to be able to tell multiple facets of the story of your brand. You educate your consumer set, you can educate your entire ecosystem about what your brand is supposed to mean, what it stands for, what's the legacy that it represents, right? And we then use some of that branding technique, some of the communication mediums that we can use to be able to tell a more effective story. So, Divya, your firm has always played a very, very significant role in the real estate ecosystem, and Square Yards is known to have built its lead generation model almost completely organically, as opposed to some of the other players in the market who use, they tend to spend on digital ads and stuff. So is there something that Square Yards is going to do from an AdTech perspective to help both corporate communications, so that there is some amount of storytelling that can happen, and in the future, what do you think that Square Yards is kind of going to help us do?
So Square Yards basically has both online and offline presence, right? Like we are also a brokerage firm, so we have a very large sales team that's distributed across cities. And as you rightly said, we rely largely on organic traffic. And if you see Square Yards' business model, primarily most of our sales are from new projects, like under construction, off plan, new projects, and we vet developers. We work with developers very closely, ensure that the delivery is on time. We ensure that the customer experience throughout that is right. Like we provide the right information to customers. So when someone is looking for a new project, one of the most important, what also happens is we have very less information, right? We probably have a brochure, maybe floor plans, maybe a video. And real estate being a very, very high cost investment, often what happens is empowering users' decisions with as much as data as possible really helps with, getting quality leads. And like people coming to us to like understand more and like see what better decisions I can make. And how we do that is we employ different things. We have a very robust data intelligence system within Square Yards. So we kind of vet down transaction data on locality level, basically across some of the prime cities where our business is. We also vet down rental data, how are the price increases like in that area, we have an entire set of data intelligence system in place. So when someone is investing in a new market or a new locality, they'll be able to get access to this data to understand whether it's a good investment for me. Second thing is, PropTR is one of our partners. So we use their visualization platform really aggressively. So if you see for almost all of the new projects that we have within our platform, we have 3D tours that's available. So when a developer is only giving you a 2D model, we are able to convert that immediately into a 3D VR visualization tool, and that happens in the tool kind of makes that happen in very few days. So we're able to upload that as well, and that also helps with sales conversions as well. So it's kind of shared across the entire journey. Third one that we are employing right now is we have an AI team within Square Yards. So we're using all of this data that comes from brochures, all our backend system, the data intelligent pieces to kind of accumulate that into a 30-second AI generated video, because user attention span is very less. They cannot go through detailed pages in your website. So we have these videos that are created that's also shared across with salespeople. That is also getting us better conversion. So kind of people look at this and then maybe they're more interested, they come in, they ask for more information, and then the funnel kind of grows that way. So
I have a follow-up question. So how does Square Yards talk about their own brand? You have multiple customer subsets. You'll have the developers, the real estate developers as potential customers. Then you have the consumer also as potential customers. Yeah. So what are some of the winnings in the whole CorpCom PR space that you would like to share maybe?
Yeah, so Square Yards, yes, as you said, like we work with multiple developers, right? Like we kind of keep ourselves as a singular brand where you can come in, where you have access to all of the top developments that are happening, best investment options, and then you kind of come in and take decisions. Where we help you throughout that entire cycle, right? From site visits, if you don't like the flats, you can keep looking for it. So it's more of an end-to-end agent who is there with you to like completely support you. If we even have things like if a developer does not deliver your project, we have a legal team that can kind of help you retrieve that money. So we have like more of an end-to-end. So we even have interior companies. So when you come in to buy a house, we have mortgages, we have interior company, we have entire sales cycle. So the brand is primarily where like a one-stop shop for, you know, your real estate experience, buying experience. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. So Chaitali, one of the largest publishers that we've all kind of grown up with, Times Group or Times Internet as it's now, and taking a little bit from what Divya said, we want to empower decisions so as to enable quality leads. We can keep generating content to help people take that informed choice, right, as to who to work with, what kind of product that they want. While this is all important at the product level, what's Times Internet helping us Times Internet going to help us do with the whole Corpcom, PR, and in terms of content, disseminating content from marketers, from ecosystem players like Square Yards. How's Times Internet taking us forward?
Sure. CJ cannot agree to you more for the fact that Times Group has been disseminating every brand's communication in the right manner to the right audience. Conventionally, what we've seen as far as real estate is concerned is, the more concentration or the more, the ask is for CPM buys, sustenance, and of course CPLs that we are talking about. However, we've seen a huge shift happening towards conversational marketing. Okay, there are a lot of brands who are asking for very personalized integrations, right? Now, to bridge that gap, we've developed an in-house AI chatbot, okay, which fuels on generative AI. We are riding the wave, clearly, and we're the first publisher with a huge pride, we say that, riding on the wave. And to level it up, we've also come up with a humanoid bot which gives that personalized experience to every user. Okay, I mean, imagine 80% of your job getting done with the right communication happening to the right user base, okay, as far as the brand is concerned. So that's where we are. And as far as what we give to the brand is a very deep insight on how many people have obviously clicked on that particular bot, how many people have interacted with that particular bot, what are the key pointers your clientele or your future client is asking for or is looking for, right? And we've seen brands kind of switching their whole communication to the fact that the data which has been thrown by the bot, okay, has been taken over and their entire ad communication has been changed. So, that level conversational marketing is happening with us now. So, yeah.
Lovely. That's I think some amount of learning for a lot of us who've not interacted enough with Times Internet. So I'm going to be calling you pretty soon.
Totally. Appreciate it.
I'm going to move on to the next subject, which I think, especially as real estate marketers, has been a turning point for our digital transformation, if I might say so. Real estate brands maybe, and it could be debated, I'm pretty sure, that our engagement with AdTech proponents started from the fact that we wanted leads, and we were getting leads by the bucket loads when we first started off in 10 years ago, 7 years ago, depending on our journeys, right? And I think the first learning for a lot of us was scale, was cost efficiency that was coming vis-a-vis or compared to conventional advertising, which today, if we look at our media plans, there's a conventional advertising, price tag which we've minimized, and we said digital marketing needs this, needs that. So that number has really grown. So Kaajal, coming to you, how do you lead your team from a lead generation perspective, and what are some of the key parameters that you focus on to kind of bridge the gap between marketing and sales? Because that's a gap, right? It's a never-ending battle for us. How do you bridge that kind of quality in the lead that you get today? Because there are so many channels to kind of can you also share an instance where AdTech today or in the recent past has helped you, achieve some certain milestones in terms of crossing that bridge?
Thank you, CJ. So 2 questions there, and I'm going to break it down. Historically, ad spends have been more geared towards the conventional media. You've got your outdoor, you've got print, and large monies were really put aside for both these media. And I think the biggest change in the last decade has been rejigging that entire media budget towards the digital spends. And increasingly, we've got more and more platforms where these monies can be better deployed. Today, we are really, talking about a very fundamental necessity kind of a product, which is real estate. And we are talking about delivering a very hyper-local, very sharpened, very personalized kind of messaging getting delivered through various AdTech platforms. Very interesting, I think, exciting times lay ahead for marketers, especially in real estate. One of the examples that I'd like to give, and I represent a real estate brand from Pune, the Kohinoor group. And interestingly, we have projects across the city, and like with any other city, Pune has pockets where you've got the old Punekars migrating into, and pockets where you've got a lot of the migrant crowd moving into, right? So we are, dealing with fundamentally different needs, different set of people seeking very different things. So there is a pocket in Pune where people know the Kohinoor brand, they know a lot, they know the credibility, and there is a certain amount of loyalty. But then there is another pocket like a Punavle or a Tathavade, where you've got migrants coming in and they really don't know the group, they don't know the brand, they probably don't value legacy that much, right? So I have a completely different narrative going on for that demographic, for that psychographic. They're new to the city, they're settling down, they're making friends, they're working in the IT sector. They don't know much about Pune. They've kind of been living there on rent for a few years before they actually decide to buy in their first home. So then for us, it is important as a marketer to understand what motivated him to stay back. What is it that he is looking for in his first home in the city? Vis-a-vis to another pocket and another campaign and another story where people know the brand, they are living in a pocket, they're seeking very different things. They're probably looking for a nature filled or something by the river or by the hills, and Pune still has some of that left. They're probably looking to move away from the bustle of the city, and that's a very different story, right? So I think what we've been striving to do very hard is make use of a lot of geofencing, a lot of targeting through content, building different narratives across different pockets, completely changing the way we've made and designed our videos, our printed collateral, our digital campaigns. Content is really kind of flipped on the head as far as different pockets are concerned, right? This is essentially how we are trying to bridge the gap, because marketing will initiate the sale really by creating a desire and by answering true to the needs of that customer who's going to eventually walk into your site. And I think that's While we will still use conventional methodology, which now becomes more like a casting like a wider net, I think 80% of our budgets, effort, time, expertise is going into hyper-local targeting and the right message delivery using the right platforms. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that brings me wonderfully to what I'm going to ask Caleb. So Caleb, how can you make us marketeers scream, take our money, take our money? How do you bring those leads to us? Help us.
Thanks, CJ. I think today, with the advent of agentic AI in general, right, there are things that we can do now that we could never do before. Like a marketer always hears about, there's so many R&Rs, there's so much R&R, like 50% R&R. You hear about validity, like this, why is this channel not giving me valid leads? The call center is complaining, saying, hey, get me better quality. These are all very real things, and if you could solve for that, you would give me your money, right? I mean, that's natural. So today with Zigment, what we're able to do with agentic AI is basically work with people, work with companies to solve not only your qualification problem, we can solve your R&R problem, and we can also solve your overall lead visibility up till your call center. So that's the kind of things like Neeta was saying earlier, like, can I know what my salesperson is talking about? So that's the level that we can get to, and that's the level that agentic AI can get to. In fact, the world is changing so much over the next 3 years. Companies will have to change the way they operate. They'll have to change processes, systems to be able to deal with this change, because it is no longer static. So I think that's what I would say where the money should go. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Caleb. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to piggyback off what you said and come back to Venkatesh. Right? So if we want to go to a different part of the journey for a marketeer, right? The end result of a lot of our time, money, and effort as marketeers is to try and build, a funnel, so to speak, for loyalty and loyalty engagement. So, what do you think that Meta can help us there with?
Again, a whole lot. Loyalty, we all love loyalty, right? It sort of builds ARPU, builds additional purchases, gets us incremental sales. Typically, the most valued asset of any advertiser here would be the first-party data, right? How can you essentially leverage your first-party data? You have your remarketing, you have WhatsApp, of course, in which you can send out marketing messages. Marketing messages are essentially the messages which land into your mobile phone inbox, right? WhatsApp inbox. And that would be a great way with a call to action saying that here's the brochure, here's basically how you go ahead and claim your interest, etc. But I'll just take a step back as well. Like, let me just very quickly say that there's remarketing, and then there is WhatsApp marketing messages which can help you with that. Taking a step back, why would they convert? You're reaching out to these people, but why would they convert in the first place? To that, I will go back to your first question, which is about branding, right? So do you stand for something today in people's minds? While they see the message, are they going to convert at a faster rate than any other message? I think branding is really important in this case, and I think that's where we can play a strong role as well. I'm sure like all the advertisers over here are doing remarketing and WhatsApp. But are we doing branding? Which is, for instance, are we, for a new project, are we running something that's called a meta moment maker, which is reaching out to 50-60% of your audience in a matter of 3 days, saying that this is what this project stands for. This is what the brand stands for, right? Are we making mobile first creatives, right? So all of us, we run a lot of horizontal ads. It's as bad as seeing a vertical ad on TV. So are we doing a vertical ad? Are we doing it with sound on Reels so that people take action right there, right? And are we doing enough creators? If you're doing creators, are we giving scale to those creators, right? Are we doing something that's called partnership ads, right? So I would say that while there is leveraging the first party data through remarketing and WhatsApp, the power also lies very, very strongly in branding through some of these products I just mentioned. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So I think with that, I've kind of jumped the gun here, and you guys will recall this from our discussion that I've jumped the gun. I'm jumping the gun because I'm very conscious about that timer as well. So I'm going to come to our last two quick discussion points. So this one's for Chaitali and Divya, and it's the same question to both of you. So as a marketer and as a publisher within the AdTech ecosystem, how do you think people should be working on tying up their offline and online customer journeys? Because that's also very important, right? Real estate as a function, as an industry, a lot of it happens offline. Like one of our panelists was talking about earlier. You can't beat the sales personnel doing that bit of sharing that bit of conviction on the product. So how does Times and Square Yards what's your advice to tying up that offline and online engagement piece?
So, Times Internet is a highly tech-driven publisher, right? So, we are sitting on a pool of data on what our readers are consuming across our platforms, be it Economic Times, Times of India, or the 9 regional portals we have, right? So, a reader comes and consumes a certain content, for example, tech, or for that matter, stocks, or, whatever, health, for that matter, right? Is that user consuming the same content on other platforms within the Times group? Okay, and if now that particular user falls into a certain cohort, right? For example, real estate, right? Is he consuming something around real estate on our platforms across? So that user is bracketed into a certain cohort, right? And that cohort is available for the marketers to cash on, right? And this is where the entire journey of the consumer is tracked, and a client can be benefited out of it.
Divya.
Offline versus online, like for us, we have both, right? Like the offline experience or customer experience is as important as your online. That's the primary goal for like our brand building as well. Like why would someone come to Square Yards? Because you can take us through, end-to-end journey. When she was talking about creating customer cohorts, one thing that I want to highlight is like for sales people specifically, right? Like when they're calling up and talking to leads, really identifying why a lead got rejected or why it did not get converted, and like reasoning out and identifying and then kind of putting them into bucket is something that we have implemented in our CRM tool. It's not just like hot, cold, warm leads, but if it's cold, why, if it's rejected, why, and like further diving deep and like really segmenting that, and then giving probably a follow-up with lead, contextually to see how we can like convert them. So that's something that we're doing in our offline journey. In fact, the one that she was talking about where you hear a conversation and you get data around it, one of the challenges with that in India is a lot of these conversations happen in local language. So when we started to create and transcribe those conversations, because a lot is not in Hindi, we had to like look for a lot is in Hindi or any other local language. We had to look for models that can support this. So right now we are in a stage where we can transcribe this data, retrieve customer interest preferences and create meeting notes. That's what we have right now. But one step ahead would be live call analysis. So when a customer is asking for a particular requirement, on the live call, the AI should be able to like recommend you, what, this property is there, this is the other option that they can look for. These are some of the better options that are there, like really answering questions in the live call. So those are like a little more advanced, but I think some of the things that we're doing for the offline experiences is primarily around these.
And it's continuous learning, right, for all of us. I mean, we're learning online, we're learning offline.
Yeah.
But what Divya has been talking about analytics brings me to my last question rather perfectly. And Kaajal and Neeta, this is to both of you to start with. Lead quality. Wow. The most perennial discussion internally that we have with our management and our leadership, and also with sales and I know within our team. Do's and don'ts. What would you like to share? And to Neeta, is there something that you would like to ask the AdTech proponents on this? Something that is on your wish list? You were talking about, transcribing conversations earlier. So is there something else that you want to ask them? So Kaajal, would you like to go first? Do's and don'ts.
this is going to be a perpetual fight, trying to get the qualification ratio to go higher up there. It's going to be a mix of a lot of things. The first don't, in my opinion, is don't fear the CPLs, right? Cheap lead does not mean a good quality lead. It is going to be a tight walk, a very thin line between an expensive lead and a high quality lead. You'll have to find a balance between the two. The one do which will help quality to go up, your CPLs to go better and probably have better conversion is to have personalized messaging, whether it is, like I mentioned previously, please study your demographic before you set out campaigns. One campaign fits all is a thing of the past, right? So going personalized in your messaging should be your top do's. And I will let my friend here give me another one.
Only do that I feel is let's not compromise on branding. See, objectives of every campaign, every outreach program is different. The KPIs that we set for a branding campaign should be definitely, different and separate from what we do for a performance campaign. The objective of a branding campaign is different. As Kaajal rightly mentioned, hyperlocal campaigns, communication is something that will help. If you're doing a campaign for an outstation customer, it has to be different story. If you're doing it for a local customer, it has to be different. That is number one. And let's not be afraid of taking risks, trying new things. The world doesn't end there. It's fine. We are burning the money. The agency should not be bothered about that. When we say that go ahead with the risk, I mean, it's a mutual decision that we take. So I'm sure long term it will fetch results.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Neeta. I hope this is going to get broadcasted. A lot of people need to hear that. Last question, Caleb. I think a lot of you guys on the AdTech world have this magic crystal ball that you guys are peering through. So something about the future, right? I just, when we're kind of stab the demon, do you think AI will completely replace that human interaction between customer and sales agent?
No, not at all. Not at all. Actually, I think AI is going to do things that humans couldn't do. Like, for example, reach out to customers when over text. I mean, which human is going to go through that, right? Try to qualify somebody, run after an R&R customer. These are things that we don't currently do anyway. So I think a lot of what AI is going to do is going to enable humans to be able to drive better results. So 10xing your business, those businesses that sort of adopt AI sooner than later, I definitely think 10xing your business is going to be much, much, much faster. So yeah, I think I would leave you with that.
Right, thank you so much. What we've tried to do during this interaction is, as marketers, we have about 5-6, let's say KRAs, KPIs that we have to focus on, which is a brand. We talk about PR and Corpcom. We go into lead generation, the customer journey, and finally the loyalty program. And trying to tap into the expertise of the proponents of AdTech today, we've tried to look at and marry those KRAs with the whole funnel. So I'd like you guys to take a moment to thank this wonderful panel for all the bits of knowledge and information that they've shared with us. Thank you all for being a very patient and wonderful audience, and see you all later. Thank you.